This episode of SmackDown gets a 9.5, so let me give you the recap of everything that happened. We were supposed to kick off SmackDown with a match between Cameron Grimes and Grayson Waller from the interaction last week, but Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso came out and attacked Cameron Grimes before the match even happened. Then you had Paul Heyman going on his little rant explaining as to how a fatal four-way is unfair to the tribal chief. SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis shows up and basically books a match for Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns to face Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight that night in the main event. Problem being, Roman Reigns is not in the show. So Nick Aldis says that the Bloodline has until the main event to find their partner. Otherwise, it's going to end up being a 3-on-2 handicap match. We then had a match between LWO members Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro versus Angel and Humberto. And despite Carlito coming out halfway through the match to attack Santos Escobar, Angel and Humberto managed to use that distraction to get the victory. I was then pleasantly surprised to see Carmelo Hayes back on SmackDown talking to Nick Aldis. And he says that he's interested in showing up at the Royal Rumble before they were both interrupted by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, to which Nick Aldis managed to book a match between Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory for later that same night. And throughout the whole show, Paul Heyman tried to recruit some names that he thought would be helpful to the Bloodline. He tried to convince Carlito, but Carlito said that he's focused on getting his hands on Santos Escobar. Pretty Deadly tried to join up until Paul Heyman reminded them that the match is between AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. And from those names alone, Pretty Deadly said, nah, we're good, and just bugged off. And Paul Heyman tried with Bobby Lashley, but Bobby Lashley responded that the only time he would ever want to be in the ring with a Bloodline member is face-to-face with Roman Reigns. Logan Paul called out Kevin Owens and said that he should not show up at their championship match at the Royal Rumble with that cast, as it is a weapon and he could sue Kevin Owens because of that. So Kevin Owens instead invites Logan Paul to next week's episode of SmackDown for the Kevin Owens show. We then had a segment between Tyler Bate and Butch, where Tyler Bate tried to convince Butch that they should be a tag team, they should be British Strong Style again. But Butch has no interest in joining a tag team again. British Strong Style is in the past for him, the Brawling Brutes are in the past for him, and he wants to figure out his identity. To which Tyler Bate may or may not have given Butch the idea to go back into being the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne. We then had a match between Bianca Belair and Bayley with Damage Control at ringside. And despite the many opportunities that Bayley gave Damage Control to attack Bianca Belair, Damage Control did not do anything, which eventually allowed Bianca Belair to pick up the victory over Bayley. And backstage, Dakota Kai explained to Bayley as to the reason why Damage Control did not get involved was because they want Bayley to be able to handle the situations by herself. That includes the Royal Rumble. We then had Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits show up in the ring to call out Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain. Had a video package aired on the screen. This new faction between Karrion Kross, Akam Rezar, Paul Ellering. They are now known as the Final Testament. We then had the match between Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes, which ended by referee stoppage after a very brutal looking move. Thankfully, WWE updated us on social media saying that these two are okay. Since Paul Heyman couldn't find a third partner for the Bloodline, we were set to have this 3-on-2 handicap match. However, before the match even started, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso attacked Randy Orton. So the majority of the match was just a tag match between AJ Styles and LA Knight against Solo and Jimmy. Randy Orton would show up at the end of it and tag himself in to pick up the victory. And after the match, they would beat up Jimmy, beat up Solo, and hit the triple powerbomb on Solo Sikoa through the announce table. As for next week's episode of SmackDown, we're set to have the KO show with special guest United States Champion Logan Paul, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter defend their Women's Tag Team Championship against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and we'll be having the contract signing for the Fatal 4-Way match at the Royal Rumble for the Undisputed Championship.